What we are going to share today is the topic of on conflict resolution skills. I believe there is a topic that we covered previously in regard to an introduction to conflict resolution skills. No, I'm sorry, coping skills. So, and basically speaking, it's common sense. How do we define coping skills? And anybody can tell that coping skills are tools or methods that help us to manage with situations as we continue engaging in our personal life experiences in a very um, personal way, right? I mean, we may see things, we may experience things, we may be exposed to events or situations, and then we think of that situation or that experience or that event in a subjective, personal way. And based on that perception that we process in regard to what we are experiencing, in regard to what we see, what we hear, we are going to give it an interpretation. And in most cases, the interpretation is going to be based on our own internal, let's say, growing up experience. It's a subjective interpretation. That means a personal interpretation of things, of situations. And the interpretation or the way we see it or the way we understand those events or experiences may not be factual, may not be kind of clear or correct. And because of that experience, in other words, we are not always right. Some people may say, well, that's your opinion. That's how you see it. That's how you understand it. That's how you see it. That's how you understand it. So, therefore, your observation or your opinion of that situation may not be true. It may be right. It may be right. So, when it comes to science, right? In order for something to be truthful or to be a fact or to be evidence-based, that hypothesis or theory or something that they want to study and prove to be workable, that can be used, that something that they want to make sure is valid. Scientists or people who do these experiments, they do test. So it's like when they test the water, and we drink the water, but then someone says, oh, be careful, that water is contaminated. And then we may say, no, I've been drinking this water all my life, so I'm okay. But then someone comes with a kind of scientific proven chemical or liquid that they put in the water to see if that water is drinkable or healthy. And it won't damage your health, right? and that's evidence based. They put this liquid. I don't know about the name of those liquids, but I'm just giving an example. And then based on that liquid they put, there is a reaction, and then the person who is doing the test, the person says, "Oh no, don't drink this water now. Not even use it for cooking." So we still need to do more tests, and maybe they will fix where the water is and put some chemicals to make sure at least it's good to cook, not to drink it, but at least to cook, right? Because sometimes they recommend that the water we may use may not be healthy to cook. So and then they kind of try to I don't know, clean it, fix it, or something like that. Anyways, I'm not an expert in that thing, but I'm just giving you an example. So once they put once they test the water, then they come to say, "Oh, it is truthful. It is evidence that this water is drinkable or not drinkable." So, giving you this example in regard to coping skills, well, in this case, to conflict resolution, because conflict resolution is a coping skill. So, as we go back to seeing the situation, being exposed to what's going on, and then we think of that situation in our own personal view, and someone else says, "No, that's not true. What you are saying is not true." Well, that's my opinion. Well, that's your opinion. But what you are trying to explain is not the fact. And because of not agreeing or not having an agreement on the situation to resolve it, then a conflict develops. And that's when conflictive situations become very difficult to solve, especially within a relationship, within marriage, within the relationship, within family situations, or in a work environment. The supervisor with the boss, or the one supervising with someone else in a certain division, and they don't agree on things, and then they start kind of fighting verbally or even physically, right? So therefore, not everything that we see or that we supposedly understand, not everything is going to be a fact. It's like, you are not always correct. So therefore, coping skills are helpful to resolve situations, such as, unhealthy anger or anger issues. Then we say, "Oh, I need to learn anger management skills." Okay, good. Or, your partner may say, "You know what? You need to learn how to communicate," or "We need communication skills," right? Because every time we have an argument about something, we start just talking loud to each other, screaming at each other, and at the end you just walk away, and then you don't come back until within 3 or 4 hours of the next day, and then within 1 or 2 days we don't talk about it, and it's like forgetting about it, right? Or we just kind of repress and suppress the problem. So, and then that's when people say, "Oh, we need conflict resolution, we need communication skills, we need to learn how to manage our anger, or we need relationship skills. We want to save our marriage. We want to help our son or daughter do much better at school, or to be more respectful, to follow the rules, and so forth. Or parenting skills, right? So, but there is something particular in regard to conflict resolution skills. I think we all need to continue learning conflict resolution skills. So what are conflict resolution skills? Well, conflict resolution has to do with, basically speaking, learning how to see a problem or a conflict, how to listen to each other, how to take into consideration each other's view and understanding of the conflict. And within conflict resolution skills, there is the application of assertive communication. That is positive, clear, respectful communication. Within positive communication, assertive communication, there is something that is called attentive listening skills. There is no way to have positive communication skills if we do not apply attentive listening skills. And attentive listening skills has to do with listening carefully to each other. Attentively listening, paying attention. Even when the other person is saying something that we don't feel comfortable with, because maybe the other person is saying something that is a fact, that is true about ourselves. Maybe that person is not saying it in the best as we wish them to tell us how to improve a situation. But if we listen attentively to what they are trying to say in regard to something we need to improve or do much better, then conflict resolution will not be possible, right? In other words, conflict resolution skills encompasses, it includes assertive, clear, open, respectful communication, along with attentive listening. And if we do attentive listening, that means we pay attention to what the other person is saying. We pay attention carefully, and then we process. We walk with the other person in regard to what the other person wants me to do much better for our own good within the relationship. Therefore, conflict resolution has to do with being able to see the problem, listen to each other's view of the problem in a respectful way, and then we start kind of, let's say, like making a list of the main issues of that primary problem. So let's say drinking issues. That's the main problem. And then we make a list of the negative consequences of the drinking issue. Let's say we make a list. So what are the negative consequences of my drinking problem? You know, it could be health issues, unemployment issues, because people may get fired for their drinking problem, relationship issues, legal issues, because some people may drive under the influence and then they may get a ticket, they may get a DUI, tragedies such as driving and then, killing someone while driving and being under the influence of alcohol, and relationship issues, right? Health issues. That's just an example that I'm giving you. So conflict resolution, what is the problem? The drinking problem. What are the underlying issues of the drinking problem? What are the side effects, the negative consequences? Okay, and then we make a list as an example, and then we pinpoint the most important issue of that main problem. It could be relationship issues, because of you drinking. Every time you drink, we have a fight. Not necessarily physically, but we start arguing. Number one. Number two, let's say, employment issues. Every time you drink, if it's Sunday, the next day you don't go to work because you feel sick of drinking. Hangover, right? Number three, let's say, our children are not being exposed to a good role model because of your drinking, and so forth. So, and then, each one will need to listen to each other. We will need to open up to the facts when it comes to conflict resolution skills. So we should be able to feedback, and maybe we won't be happy with the feedback because the feedback is truthful and we don't want to hear it. Then we start kind of blaming, or we start kind of minimizing the problem. It's not a big deal. No, yeah, it's a big deal. Or it's not as serious as you are explaining it. And then we say, yeah, it is serious. Or then we start kind of blaming other people because due to our problems. No. It's not about blaming. It's about being open to take responsibility for your actions. So, when it comes then to conflict resolution skills, once again, attentive listening and assertive, open, clear, respectful communication is required. And then we should be able to come to an agreement and solve the problem as we wish, as we want, as it is supposed to be, as the expectation is, right? So far so good? Okay, now let's take into consideration that probably, let's say, our parents didn't teach us, conflict resolution 101. Probably they just would tell us, this is the expectation. This is what you are supposed to do, period. You don't do it, then you get in trouble. Oh. But probably they didn't give us specific instructions on how to solve problems, right? So, or maybe as we were growing up in our family environment, we avoided talking about issues. Or we would stay just quiet and listen to whatever, dad was saying or mom was saying. But they didn't teach us how to listen to each other. I mean, it's not about blaming. It's not about, then, therefore, this is the way I am. Not necessarily, because we are adults and we can choose to continue learning how to manage situations in our current life experience. So we should be able to learn those coping skills. Being open to information, right? Number one, as we have mentioned this, being open to information. A method of learning how to improve. What is the method of learning how to improve that we have been discussing? Number one, being open to information. I want to be open to information about conflict resolution skills. Number two, I want to get the knowledge. I want to study it. I want to learn the steps. I want to learn how to do it. That would be, knowledge, right? That's number 2. Number 3 has to do with application or implementation. So once I have the information, once I have the knowledge, then the expectation is for me to apply the conflict resolution skills. And number 4, the more I get that information, the more I get the knowledge or process the information into knowledge, and the more I practice what I am learning, such as conflict resolution skills, the more I accumulate that experience, then it becomes part of my everyday life experience, which is wisdom, right? I want to say is wisdom. Wisdom is the accumulation of, information, knowledge, and practice. It becomes part of your everyday life experience without thinking too much. You just know how to do it. Such as when you are driving a vehicle, at the beginning you are learning how to drive a vehicle, you will stop and say, okay, let me put my signal. Let me look this way. Let me look that way. Oh, let me look back to see if there is anything else. Oh, let me get out of the car and see if I can cross. Right? Probably. But now, we don't need to do all those things. Automatically, we look that way. We look the other way. Then we put a signal. Then we look, for safety, and then we cross. But it's not like, oh, let me look this way. Okay, no car. Okay. Then let me do. Okay. Oh, let me open the door to make sure I see it very well and cross. No. We do those things automatically already, right? So we already know how to do those things subconsciously. We don't need to pay much attention. But we do it safely. Of course, safely, right? So, same thing with information, knowledge, practice, and wisdom. So, and it all has to do with allowing ourselves to continue being responsible, to learn coping skills, and manage with conflictive situations in the best possible way. To continue doing very well. So, I want to say this is an introduction to conflict resolution skills. So last time we discussed coping skills in general. And now we are giving an introduction to conflict resolution skills. So next time we are going to provide more specific examples on the process of implementing conflict resolution skills in a more, formal way. And the focus is on solutions, right? Looking forward for solutions, looking forward for, healthy expectations. As long as we continue doing well, we are going in the right direction. As long as we are doing our part, we are going in the right direction. As long as the situation doesn't get worse, we are going in the right direction. Okay. So thank you for your time and for your participation. And let's continue doing great. See you next time.